Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 174, recording on Sunday, November 26, 2023. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And everyone is just waiting for the Game Awards. And we're in a holding pattern, preparing our end-of-year lists, getting some gaming in. So we thought we'd put a call out for some junk mail, a late call for junk mail. And we got a few we're going to go over today. Please check the Discord, youtube.com/Game Junk. Discord link is on there. Flood us with junk mail in case we need some stuff to talk about until the end of the year. So anything else we need to talk about, gentlemen, before we get into this junk mail?
No, I think that's about it.
Well, I mean,
boring gaming news for sure.
I've played some games this week, and it's reignited my passion. All this debate is it me? Is it the games? The good news is it was the games. It wasn't me. I just needed to play some good games. I have to take some ownership because I wasn't playing the right games or not playing enough. So we'll get into some pretty good stuff that I played this week. But before that, junk mail time. The first one, let's see here. Kiddo in Flames. What's the one game you guys always go back to once in a while when you've got like 20 minutes to spare and want to get a quick game session? Mine is Diablo 4 and Slay the Spire because it still feels like I accomplished something in that short amount of time. Great question.
Great question. I don't have a lot of games like that. Only one that really comes to mind for me is Peggle, believe it or not. Gone back to it. I've never actually beat Peggle 2. I've just kind of been back and forth playing a little bit here and there with that one. So I do go back to it.
Interesting. I see how Peggle could work, but in all honesty, I've never actually done that. Like I said, I have 20 minutes left. 20 minutes. Let's play Peggle. The games tend to be roguelikes for me, I would think, as Kiddo in Flames stated, something where you can get a run in or do something productive. Now, it would suck if you had a good run and then you had to abandon it. So I don't know how good that is. My answer would be Vampire Survivors, number one by far. And then I got some other ones. Huck, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't find I can do this that often anymore. And when I do, I find I spend most of my time just looking at the games I could play for the entire 20 minutes and then play nothing. So is that a game?
The best use of your time there is try to figure out what you could play, but don't actually play.
Yeah. Anything. Is that a game? Does that count? But I would say if I had a game, I actually tend to go back to just like old faithful games that I do not have to learn the mechanics for. And they're ingrained. So I find I go back to like old RPGs or even like something like Uncharted, where it's just very, very, I don't have to learn anything. I know it like the back of my hand, so I can dive in, maybe not accomplish too much, but still have a little bit of fun. Maybe get a little frustrated because I haven't played it in a very long time, but those are the type of games I go back to normally. I don't necessarily have one specific game.
If this was a comfort play or something, a game that I always go back to and play in its entirety, not without like the 20-minute to spare restriction, Uncharted 1 would probably be my game. I've been going back to Hades and playing Hades, and that's been surprisingly easy to get back into. I'd say Dicey Dungeons is another good one with shorter runs that are fun, and also Slay the Spire would be one for me as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to cough. Quick cough break. Dead air. Next up from Darth Murdoch. Question for each game junker. Sean, and we'll pause after each one. Sean, you have to eat a Pokemon. Which one would you choose and why?
Yeah, it's a disturbing question. I didn't really prepare for this, but first one that comes to mind is Squirtle. I feel like it would be like one of those gusher kind of fruit snack kind of things, and I could see it being kind of delicious.
Like, do I have to eat or do you have to eat the Pokemon as is? Do you get to cook it? How does it work?
Good question.
I mean, wouldn't you want to fire one that's like maybe so hot it's already baked and you don't have to eat like a raw Pokemon?
Yeah. Charizard, something like that, maybe.
Are there plant-based Pokemon you could consume?
What about bug snacks? Can we eat some bug snacks here? I don't know. Maybe I should look up a list of Pokemon.
Yeah, Huck was preparing before the show. What the fuck were you doing, dude?
Come on.
All you have to do is do a Google search. List Pokemons, plant Pokemons.
There's got to be like a chocolate-themed Pokemon, right? By now? There must be.
Not my question.
Well, you can come back to me.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Let's do mine because it's a shorter one, I think. Frank, favorite arcade game? My gut number one is probably Turtles in Time or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. That's probably the one I love the most and played the most. Like I just had to play it. The one that I probably spent the most money on and hit like my high school video gaming while arcades were still a thing was Mortal Kombat 3. That came out when I was really getting into video games, and we would go play that at the Seaway Mall, Wizard's Castle. I'm going to throw in the game that Daytona USA as well. Love Daytona USA and the music specifically. And two other ones that I thought of. T2, Terminator 2 for a light gun game. And if I'm really desperate, Revolution X, if I need to hear some Aerosmith. And Jurassic Park Arcade, the shooting one. When I saw that game existed, I thought it was the greatest. It was very hard to find, but I like that one a lot. And there was one other one I wanted to mention. Oh, Time Crisis. Hard to beat the force feedback, recoil, and the pedal of Time Crisis.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There was one I felt like it was everywhere. It was kind of like, it reminded me of like a Rambo game. I thought it was called like Operation Wolf. Yes. Yeah. That game, I remember just staring at that machine for hours. And I'd have to agree with you about, I think it was Turtles in Time or maybe the arcade, whichever one had it where
arcade.
You would throw the Foot Clan guys at the screen. And the first time I saw that, I was like, oh my God, my mind is blown.
Full disclosure, potential embarrassment. I do not know if that was in the arcade games.
Okay.
Or if it started on the Super Nintendo. Sean, do you know?
I think it was in the arcade game.
I think it was.
I don't know for sure either, but I think it was.
The versions we played in the collection had that, and they were the arcade versions. I'm pretty sure.
I kind of remember seeing it in the arcade as well, but
my memory is not good, so I could definitely be wrong. But that game still looked incredible on the arcade.
A lot of people might say Simpsons Arcade. I like the idea of Simpsons Arcade. I just didn't play it all that much.
You know what would have been awesome in the arcade? Wave Race in the arcade.
The actual jet ski?
Yes.
They do have those, don't they?
Do they?
I think they have, like, in more recent years, there is one. I'm pretty sure I've seen, but...
yeah, I don't think it's official Wave Race.
I think it is.
Really?
I think so. I'm not the expert on arcade.
I know there's Mario Kart arcade machines, and I've never seen one. Wave Runner by Sega might be the one you're thinking of, Sean.
Okay.
Was the one I was thinking of, but I'm not seeing any results for Wave Race Arcade, but not discrediting you.
No, I mean, that's close enough. That's probably what it was, but what did you mention NBA Jam in there? Was that
that's a good one? I should put NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. I think I prefer Blitz to Jam.
There was another one. I can't remember what it was called. It was a basketball game. I think it was called Run and Gun, and I only saw it at the Choo Choo Charlie's by our house, which was like a Chuck E. Cheese, shitty Chuck E. Cheese Canadian version. And it was like this, instead of being top down or on the side, you were looking down the court. And then so you would go forward into the screen and then backwards to play defense. And I just remember playing that game a ton.
I'm looking it up right now. It does seem like it's a thing. I thought you were absolutely cuckoo banana.
There's actually a Super Nintendo version called a different name, and I can't remember the name of that game.
Yeah, I'm looking at a comparison between them, and they also, I think, turn this into, I'm guessing it's Konami, and they did it's very similar to the NCAA.
I was just going to say,
Mode 7 game with much better graphics, and I've never seen this game before. It looks pretty sweet.
It was amazing.
I'm digging
Thank
it.
you for jogging my memory, Darth Murdoch, of this question.
All right, Sean, do you have an answer for Pokemon?
Yeah, final answer is going to be Combi, which is basically like a honeycomb Pokemon. So that's the most edible one, in my opinion. So anybody disagrees, let me know.
In the comments on youtube.com/GameJunk, let us know what Pokemon you would eat. Next, Huck, what was the best year of gaming for you?
Yeah, just
personally,
just a tiny question here.
Whether it be because of a console launch or your favorite game came out, what's your favorite year of gaming?
Well, after putting tens of minutes into this before the show, I must say that I think it's probably 1997 for a few reasons. I think this would have been the first year I had the N64. The N64, we looked it up, came out in 96. I would have got it that Christmas. So, a week, and then it's 1997. So I would consider my N64 inauguration was then. And during this, GoldenEye came out, Star Fox 64. I would have got Mario 64. Not in this year, like technically, but Final Fantasy. Was that?
Blast Core came out that year.
Classic game. Yep.
You would have played Race for the first time.
I know. Glorious games. Glorious. And I mean, Final Fantasy VII also came out, which is arguably one of my favorite games on the PlayStation. Symphony of the Night came out. Lots of great games on PlayStation. And I think Diddy Kong Racing, of course. Lots of great N64 games. And I think what may not be realized is like 4-player multiplayer was almost unheard of before the N64. You could kind of do it on the Super Nintendo with these like multi-tap things, and the Sega Genesis had a shittier one that always fell out and never actually stayed in. But it was really impossible to play with more than 2 people. Not impossible. It was very difficult to play with more than 2 people on a lot of games. And when the N64 came out, it had 4 ports, and you could play GoldenEye and like 4-player split screen. And it was, it took over. At least everyone I knew played GoldenEye, and it was incredible. Same with, Diddy Kong Racing. I loved. Not as many people I knew played that, but GoldenEye just took over for years. And so I would put this one up there as possibly my favorite, because the N64, PlayStation, and the games. What about you guys off of your minutes of looking right now as I'm answering?
It's a huge question. And I do like 97. I have to admit, that is a good year. Remember playing GoldenEye quite a bit. Probably was Mario Kart 64 the same year or no?
I think it was a launch title. So for me, it would have been the same year. No, was it?
It was not launched. I don't know if it was the same year, but there was, I believe, only 2 first-party launch titles on Nintendo 64. Pilot Wing and Mario 64.
Wave Race, was Wave Race rare?
No, I think it came like a couple weeks later.
Mario Kart 64, February 97.
There we go.
Okay.
So
I can't believe that didn't come up in the list I was looking at for 97 games.
Yeah, you fucked up, dude. You need 10 more minutes.
I was kind of there. I don't know. I found some site that's like ranking all the different years, and a few that stand out. 2009 had Uncharted 2, had Batman Arkham Asylum, it had Left 4 Dead 2, it had I mean, Assassin's Creed 2, a lot of people like. I don't really care. Uh,
Killzone 2.
yeah, I feel like
That's
I
a
had a
great
few
game.
others, but and then there was another one I was looking at, and I can't find it now. But
Got
Frank,
another one while you're talking. I'm debating like 2006, 2007 ish. I think I'm going to say 2007. That was
that is a good
where
year.
I
Yeah.
started at Silicon Knights. So I got into the gaming industry, was playing a lot more games, talking about games more. There were some pretty big releases that year. And not to mention, I believe the PlayStation 3 released that year. And that's when I fully developed the blue haze. And I was telling people how good Uncharted is and Resistance and how everyone was team Xbox gang green and I was the naysayer. And time has once again proven me to be correct. So that was a very important year for me, especially for this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Is that when it started? Is that it all started? I
That's
guess
when
that's
we
when
met.
the connections are made.
How was everyone's answer not 2007?
Well, and it's a great year for movies too. So
I was just looking too.
This is not a movie podcast.
But there was something in the air that year.
I was just looking. Mass Effect
I entered your air.
The Frank air disruption.
Yeah, 2007. What a year. Oh, my life changed that year. How could it not be 2007?
You're right. That was the singularity. That was it.
There we go. We got our answer. But for actual gaming, 97 is a very good. There's something about the number 7.
Mm-hmm.
Was 2017 any good?
Probably not.
It was actually there. That's on that list too.
Start counting down to 2027. It's going to be the most important year in video game history.
2017, Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Cuphead,
that was
Horizon Zero
Dawn. Sorry, 2017 is also pretty good. Lucky
huge.
sevens, baby. We just hit the jackpot. 777, 3 years in a row, decades apart, the most important years in the podcast and gaming in history.
Perfect.
All right.
Crack the code.
One more coming from Blake from the Film Junk Discord. Check out the Film Junk podcast if you like movies. Sean does. He apparently qualifies for good video gaming years if there's a good movie. What gaming peripheral, controller, gaming related device? No, sorry. That you are the most. What is the gaming peripheral, controller, gaming related device that you are the most ashamed of purchasing? Right now, it's the PSVR 2 for me. Alan Wake 2 rocks. Bye, Blake. Alan Wake. This is the Wake mob out to get us. Don't cave in to the Wake mob. You just gotta ignore them. Keep playing the games you like. I will return to Alan Wake 2, but that is definitely not one of the games that revitalized my lust, my passion for games. All right, biggest peripheral regrets, gentlemen. Go.
Ooh.
I got a long list, by the way.
Well, first one that came to mind for me was Ring Fit Adventure. It was really hard
twice, so I can't say it's that my biggest regret.
It was really hard to find, and it was one of those things. Like I think during COVID, a lot of people wanted, and so yeah, when I finally tracked it down, I was like, yes, finally got one. And played it once, was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. That was it. I don't know. Could have been cool.
Huck?
I didn't prepare. Let me think for a bit. Why don't you start rambling off your exotic list, Frank?
Yeah, I have a long history with these types of peripherals, going all the way back to the Menacer for the Sega Genesis, which I did use a little bit, so it's not on the list. Number one has to be the Rock Band 3, like real Fender guitar that you could plug in, which I never really used, maybe one night, and it was a lot of money. I don't know if it's worth anything these days. I doubt it, but it's a real guitar as well, which I also can't play. So that was definitely a waste. Going down the list, big one, the Ace Combat 6 bundle with the flight stick controller which I think I used once. I'll throw in a Street Fighter 4 arcade stick that I barely used for good measure. I'm not even going to go down the road of controllers that have never been opened. Those are clearly regretful purchases, but I mean, it's still a controller at some level. I'm trying to think of the name of the VR gun that came with, was it Farpoint for PlayStation VR?
I just had it out. I just had it out the other day. The PlayStation Aim, I think it's called.
Okay, I got it right. That's definitely on my list. I'm looking at a Labo box up there. I mean, I just bought that for shits and gigs, you know. Got to be some other ones.
Well, I thought for sure the activator would come up. Did anybody purchase that?
I did not. I have one upstairs now. Got in like some weird lot I bought on eBay a long time ago, but
that was kind of like a early hands-free controller for the Genesis.
Oh yeah,
I've always been curious, never had it, but
I wanted to. I think it was advertised with Eternal Champions. You got to be able to do all the vendettas with the activator. There's got to be some good, like, I don't know if Seaman with the microphone counts for Sega Dreamcast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's cool to have. Maybe I don't regret that one. You know what? You're right, Sean. I don't regret purchasing Seaman for the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I don't own Steel Battalion. If I did, that would definitely count. Do you remember Steel Battalion with the custom?
I remember it being around at Silicon Knights for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's one I'm forgetting, especially from my youth. But
what did anybody own a Game Boy printer?
No.
Or a camera. I never had a camera either, but I guess that was at least a little more useful in games.
What about the Wii Fit balance board?
And
I have that. We used it for a little while. I wouldn't say I regret it. It's not like I bought it and then never used it.
Okay.
So it's hard to say I regret it.
I definitely had a and also in that lot that had an activator, it had the batter up. It was a baseball bat controller for swinging a bat for baseball games. Never used it.
I must say, I rarely buy peripherals. Actually, the only ones that come to mind are for the Game Boy, the original Game Boy. I bought this like light attachment. It was like super clunky, and it took like, I don't know, 5 batteries, and it just turned on this little light. And that was it. I can't think of many other peripherals I buy. I mean, I bought Rock Band stuff, but I wouldn't regret that.
Well, that's going up in value. It's a seller's market for Rock Band. Speaking of which, I totally forgot I bought this more for the game, not for the peripheral, but it was the 3DS or DS version of Guitar Hero, where it like plugged in and you wrapped it around and strummed while you hit the buttons.
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
Guitar Hero Grip. That's somewhere under the stairs.
Crazy that Guitar Hero was that popular that they're putting out peripherals for 3DS.
Xbox. Phil, if you're listening, if you want to redeem yourself in the world of gaming, just bring Rock Band back, or Guitar Hero. You own Activision. Get like a live service for those games. Make new instruments. People will love you. And I'll spend a lot of money on songs on your ecosystem.
What about the Power Glove? Who had the Power Glove?
Never got fooled by that or the Power Pad or Rob the Robot. I was too smart.
What's that red Nintendo thing? Would that even count as a peripheral, or
Virtual
is that a
Boy?
console? Yeah, Virtual Boy.
It is not a peripheral.
Okay.
And it's amazing.
It's amazing. All 4 games that are on it.
My neighbors had the Power Pad. That was kind of cool. Like doing track and field and stuff like that.
It was one of those things that seemed cool.
I mean, you learn how to game the system very quickly, and then it's not so fun anymore, but it was all right.
Yeah, I mean, like the other peripherals I had a flight stick, that I would use to play TIE Fighter. Don't regret that. For a little bit, it was like the thing you plug into your Super Nintendo that allowed you to play Game Boy games. I don't know if any of you guys knew what that was called.
Super Game Boy.
Is that what it called? I don't know. Super Game Boy.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, like these are the peripherals I buy. I don't buy these crazy off the wall peripherals. I did buy that 4-player multi-tap for the Genesis, which never worked. It always would fall out. So maybe I regret that one. That one seemed like a waste.
Bringing it all together. There was one other one I just remembered. Oh god, I had it and I lost it.
The Tony Hawk Ride skateboard.
No, I have a few DJ Hero controllers.
Oh yeah, I think I still have that somewhere.
Not Donkey Konga. Those drums, those are amazing. And definitely not the fishing controller for Dreamcast, which was also pretty good. All right, a little walk down peripheral memory lane. Next up, Dear Sean, Respawn Dwyer, Frank, Camp Kinesic, and Leisure Suit Andrew. I've noticed that Game Junk has never offered a premium podcast before. Would there be any interest in exploring the idea? What could be potential candidates for a Game Junk premium? I briefly thought about this, and it was hard to come up with a good concept. What does that say about the nature of gaming if franchises don't appear to be well suited for that review format? Thanks, guys. Lucas 3D. So just to give a little background, this is the idea that on Film Junk, we review a series or collection of movies and discuss, how much trilogy cred there is and stupid stuff that happens in them within the context of a lot of films that are similar or share a director or a part of the same franchise. I don't know. To me, the only barrier to entry is having to play that many games in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
huge time commitment.
I've seen lots of people doing stuff like this. Like, I think before Tears of the Kingdom came out, I saw a bunch of people kind of doing playthrough all the Zelda games. I mean, that would be fun. I would love to do it. There's no way I would ever have the time to do that. But people do.
You're talking about like a 8 to 10 hour commitment for the movie thing versus a like 100 to 200 hour commitment for the video game thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a huge difference. We did that one retro review of Chrono Trigger, like, I don't know, 4 years ago or whatever it was.
I think it was over a decade ago.
A decade ago.
It was more than a decade ago.
Hey, it's pre-pandemic. My brain doesn't remember those times correctly anymore.
This is closer to 2007 when we first.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the only way it would work is if we kind of pick an older game to revisit and then play through that older game, and it would be fun. And it's just, again, it's probably still too much time commitment even for that, but maybe. I mean, that would be fun.
The one I would like to do for some reason, it's popping into my head, is Donkey Kong Country. Because I don't think I've ever played Donkey Kong Country 3. I love Donkey Kong Country 1. It's one of my favorite games ever. I remember liking 2, but I was kind of moved on from Super Nintendo when it came out. And then I'd like to play Donkey Kong Country Returns just so I can compare it and shit on the blowing mechanic again. It'd just be fun to do that.
That's interesting. Yeah. I would be interested in that. I have never really gotten into any of those Donkey Kong games. And like, my wife loves them from when she was a kid, and I've never gotten into them. I've played the first, couple levels of Donkey Kong Country 1, but never played Donkey Kong Country 2, never 3 for sure. So that could be a good candidate.
I would like to roast Sonic. If anything, what I would like to do is roast certain games. If I was going to do something premium, I want to like tear certain games apart or certain levels apart. Yooka-Laylee, World 1, Alan Wake 2, Control.
Go right after.
What other games does Remedy make?
Quantum Break.
That one wasn't that bad. I have a list of these things. I need to play some more. Oh, also another good 20-minute pickup game, Loop Hero. Okay. Yeah.
Also, I looked up
one day. I doubt it though.
I looked up that Chrono Trigger episode 2011. So quite a while ago. 12 years. My brain's not working.
Another good 20-minute game. Threes on your mobile devices.
Threes is
Not
a good one. I do play that.
What's the knockoff called? 20 something?
47 or something like that.
2048?
I also, you know what? I go to Sudoku probably. If I was going to do something on my phone, I got a Sudoku game. Or No Nozzle. You got to go No Nozzle, of course. How could I not have remembered that?
Cross.
There you go.
All right, I think that's it for junk mail. Is that correct? Did I miss anything?
That's all I saw, but keep them coming in, or you can email them to gamejunkpodcast@gmail.com as well.
Or hit us up on the Discord for a link, youtube.com/gamejunk, always in the show notes. We'll need some content going into December. All right, what'd you guys play?
For me, I'm still playing Jedi Survivor. I think a little over halfway now, judging by YouTube playthrough, where they're at. And the only thing I could say is that I'm surprised there's not more spectacle moments. I remember there being a lot more like spectacle things in the first game, like speckled throughout, whereas I just feel like I got to my first real big one about the halfway point. And I was kind of expecting.
Does this involve a hangar?
No, it doesn't involve a hangar. It involves a drilling machine.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
And I just was expecting more, a little more spectacle. I'm enjoying it. I still think it's fun. The level of design is incredible. The vistas. I'm never bored when I'm traveling in this world. I never feel like I, want to quit because I don't know where to go. I'm never really frustrated. I did get one bug I texted you guys about where I had to shut off this like switch basically. And when you shut off the switch, it like stops something from spinning, and you can grab onto the flagpole and kind of jump across the gap you couldn't get to. Well, I had basically fallen off and died, but while I died, I was able to trigger the thing I needed to do with my force pull ability. So then when I got back to the spot, I had done everything I needed to do, but the spinning flagpole thing was still spinning. And the only way I could get it was to actually redo the puzzle, but not actually flick the switch and just traverse the path they wanted me to take. And then obviously there's some sort of, imaginary volume you have to pass through near the end of the designed path that actually stops the thing from spinning. It was involving wind, not the thing that's blocking the wind, but you have to pass through this like mystery volume. So that was a little frustrating, a little tricky. I had to go on YouTube because I literally had no idea. Like I could tell what I was supposed to do, but this thing, I almost killed myself permanently because I kept jumping into my death, trying to jump on this flagpole thing. And then I looked it up, and sure enough, I just didn't go the right way. But other than that, I'm really enjoying it. Really, really enjoying it. I feel like I'm kind of cheating the game because I use the mind control almost exclusively, and I just mind control. I've upgraded all of my mind control path, so I can mind control multiple people. I can hold them up and have them shoot other people, and it's pretty powerful. Especially if you come across some enemies that are a little further away and you might be up on a hill, you just mind control some of the people down below, and you just kind of sit there and wait for there to be one guy left. So I feel like I'm kind of cheating the game, but these are the tools that were given to me. I am a Jedi master already.
Yeah, I didn't level that up till near the end, so I kind of missed out on that ability. But there were a couple weird things for me too throughout the game. I remember one, and I'm trying to. I still don't know if it's. I mean, Frank's the perfect game for Frank. I get it, but there's one I don't know if I went the wrong way or what. But there was a point where you had to climb a pole and then jump over to something, but every time I climbed the pole, the camera was kind of like pointing the other way, like telling me, no, like that's where you should be going that way. And I kept having to like do this glitchy climb up and jump backwards to get onto this ledge. And I mean, eventually I got it and it worked, but it felt wrong. So I don't know what was up with that section.
Yeah, I've had some frustrations with the camera as well, mostly running it into walls in combat. I mean, it's a common problem. It's very hard to solve, but an enemy backs you up into the wall, all of a sudden the camera is like up over your shoulder looking down because the collisions on the camera stop it from going through the wall. And then all of a sudden you can't see what's going on. You're trying to jump away and the camera's now getting all hung up. And yeah, I've had a few traversal puzzles like that too, Dwight, where you're kind of climbing up, but the camera's facing you, but you have to kind of jump backwards. And it almost feels like as you're trying to swing the camera around, it's fighting you a bit to go where it wants to go. But I would say overall, fairly minor things. And, it's not like I'm completely stuck when those things happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Sean, for your number one game of the year, I want to know about every single weird camera issue you had playing Tears of the Kingdom or whatever game.
Jedi Survivor is going to be on my top 10 list. Don't get me wrong.
All right, what'd you play, Sean? Tell us about the issues you encountered on every game that's not 40 hours long.
I played Laika Age Through Blood, which you played a week or two ago. I mean, obviously Steam sale going on right now. There's a lot of stuff that just had to be purchased. And
thank you for using the full title. I'm not sure if I did when I talked about it on the show.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of a Metroidvania game with trials. You're on a motorcycle, trials mechanics, but it's weird because in trials you only ever go forward, right? So they had to figure out a way that you can kind of use the same controls, but also flip around and go back the other way. And yeah, it is a control scheme that takes a little bit of time to get used to. And once you start mixing combat in, it's a bit tricky as well. But when it clicks, it feels really good. And there's enough checkpoints and stuff where I kind of just, if I was dying a lot at a certain point, I kept wanting to go back and keep trying. And I just, I'm liking the art style. It's kind of this cartoony style with, or at least the cutscenes are very well 2D animated cutscenes, and the characters are like these kind of cute mammals, I guess, they're fighting against these birds. There's a war going on, but they're cute, but it's like super bloody and violent. And, it's got kind of a Western post-apocalyptic vibe. And yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's, you play maybe 5 or 10 minutes and you're like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work. But then, I don't know, you give it a little more time and I can really see the potential. I mean, I played past the first boss where it actually, one of the things I was worried about is I kept checking the map and there was no map, or there was a map, but it just was a dot on a wide open canvas. And I was like, this isn't a very good map. But it does open up and a proper map is introduced. And that's where I'm at now. And I'm really enjoying it. This is now in my list of stuff in my queue to I got to play more before the end of the year.
Well, speaking of got to play by the end of the year, I finally started Sea of Stars.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
It's so weird that last week or the week before, I was talking about Super Mario RPG and kind of talking about some complaints about that game. And no, I don't think anyone mentioned Sea of Stars is the exact same combat system, basically, as
pretty similar, yeah,
as Mario RPG. But it adds a lot more economies and interesting systems to it. And I was like, this is exactly the same. And my big complaint with Mario RPG was not knowing timing windows and feedback. And I'm like, oh, they still haven't resolved that issue yet. And then after you start to do the battles, you get relics for tweaking things. And it's like you can turn on like more feedback for the battle, but it's not like whether you're too soon or too late. It's just if you did it right, which I already knew if I was doing it right. So I'm like, oh, this game just gets me. This company has the best designers, but it's not quite perfect or what I expected from Mario RPG, but it's still very good. And the thing I love about it is the combat system has these like weaknesses for breaking stances, and you can get knocked out in battle. And it's not like in other turn-based RPGs, it's always like, okay, use a Phoenix down or revive or whatever it is. And it just becomes this kind of annoying cycle of doing that. This has auto revive on knockouts after 3 turns. I actually find it's a perfect level of not being too hard, but actually having to think and pay attention. Like it perfectly walks that line of I can't go on autopilot and just hit A or cross a bunch of times, and I have to think, and it's fun and it's not punishing. So I think difficulty level is absolutely perfect. Dialogue is quite good. Music's amazing, and some quality of life stuff. Selling and buying items from stores, and it automatically prompts you to equip it and then to sell the old thing you're replacing, which is another nuisance of playing old school RPGs. So it just reducing the friction. It is lubing up the experience. This game is full of lube, and I'm lubed up and I'm loving it. So Sea of Stars, I played about 8 hours yesterday.
Oh, you might be past me already.
I think it's fantastic.
The one complaint I have, and I've heard at other spots, is that it is very linear in the path they take you down. And because all the enemies are on the screen, and there's no chances to grind, really. Like if you feel underpowered, you can, but it's challenging. There is friction to grinding.
I guess like if you leave an area and go right back in, the enemies come back.
Yes. In that case, yes. But I mean, it's not as easy as, I don't know. There is just added friction to doing it.
I don't think the game wants you to be honest, but I think you can if you want. But the oh my God, the level up screen, when you level up and you get to pick a different boost, just perfection.
I really like that economy of picking which boost you want based on your play style. It's really smart.
This whole game is full of brilliant, small economic design. And the second game I'm going to talk about, it has that too. But just the break, I can't remember the official term for how you break weaknesses and enemies can lose turns, and the turn count and the magic real-time MP that you can use sparingly. And it's a strategic decision related to those weaknesses. And so easy to understand. This could have been complicated, and the way they teach it to you, I totally understand and contemplate or make the right decisions when I'm in battle. And when I make a mistake, I'm like, oh, next time I shouldn't do that. I should do this instead. So
I don't want to brag, but Citizens of Earth did a very similar battle system in that we had, I don't know if you remember, we had like the 3 to like 5 little orb dots, and you'd have moves that would replenish that or give it or take it away. Very similar.
I might need to go back.
Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I don't know if it's unique to Sea of Stars, right? Like I find out about systems like, they just copied from something else, but it's a good battle system.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go back and put
it's a great not tug of war, like push and pull mechanic where you have to make strategic decisions as you're playing, so it keeps you engaged, and you need to know how much do I want to get magic back, or do I want to use magic to do more damage and then possibly have less magic later. And I think they really did a good job balancing how much the moves use and how much you get back for each attack. I think it's really well balanced.
Yeah, I've never seen small gameplay decisions like be so engaging in a turn-based RPG. That's not like super tactical. It's just kind of casual and but meaningful. So good. I believe I will finish this game.
Nice. So that's reignited your passion, Frank?
That's one. Then we got another one coming up.
Okay. Well, I just have a quick. I didn't really play this one that much, but just wanted to mention Lone Ruin, which is a roguelike twin stick shooter, kind of being compared to Hades. I don't know if I totally saw that comparison yet, but it has two game modes. It has like a your typical roguelike where you're going down like a branching path and working your way towards a boss, I guess. And then it has a survival mode, which is more like Vampire Survivors. And I was actually kind of enjoying that a little more, but I really, tried put about 15 minutes into each mode just to see. But the art style it's kind of a blue and pink color scheme, which I feel like that is really, it catches your eye in screenshots and stuff and on the Steam store and everything. I do feel like it might get a bit repetitive throughout the game, but I don't know. The one complaint I had is it's an isometric view, but something seemed a little off with the angles. Like I was trying to attack and I wasn't hitting things when I thought I was kind of at the right angle. So I'm not quite sure what's up with that yet, but that was the one thing. But apparently it's a pretty short roguelike, which is a big selling point for me. And it was only $5, I think, right now on Steam.
All right. Sorry, did you have anything else?
No, but I just wanted to say, going back to, what was it called? Laika Aged Through Blood.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I had never heard of this game or this company, but this Brainwash Gang company, they were founded in 2015 and have put out like 7 games. Like, it's pretty crazy how many games they've put out. I've never heard of any of the other games, but they're just grinding. That's like a game a year. That's pretty impressive, to be honest. And they're published games. It's not like they're all self-published piece of shit. They're actually like published by like Raw Fury and stuff. So
what was their 2017 game? One of the best years of gaming. Might need to go directly to that one.
It's not on Steam.
Non-guns.
There's a lot of 2001.
I haven't heard of that one. I have heard of Friends versus Friends, which is like
I've heard of Friends versus Friends for sure. Okay. So it's weird. Both games I really liked have, at least to start, 2 main characters that are like have the opposite color wheel scheme colors, like the blue and orange that you always see as the 2 different characters, which Sea of Stars has. And then they also have animated cutscenes in an anime style that I'm not crazy about either of them in either game, but based on Sean's heads up, I checked out Astral Ascent, which is a new 2D side-scrolling roguelike that kind of combines elements of a lot of other roguelikes. Dead Cells, Hades, a bit of Have a Nice Death, I think. And it's weird how roguelikes are just kind of pulling in ideas from other roguelikes and just adding things to the mix. To me, the interesting thing that this game adds to the mix, well, 2 things. One, when you pick your next room you're going to go to, you have a challenge or difficulty level that's represented as stars. And that star also becomes a spendable economy. So it's not just about the rewards you get for going to more difficult rooms. The actual difficulty you take on is something you can use. So it's almost like the heat system of Hades, but you have access to it from the beginning of the game, or you start to learn it from the beginning, which I think is the star difficulty system in that economy, I think is pretty brilliant. Not sure if it's been done elsewhere, but I think it's awesome. And aesthetically, it creates this very specific fantasy world a unique graphical style, character designs, just vibe in general was something I was really enjoying. I don't know if I like it as much. Like, I definitely don't like it as much as Hades and other roguelikes I've played, but I could see it growing on me a lot. The combat is satisfying, pretty fun. It's based on a spell system. You swap out these spells, something similar to Bullet. What was it? The Witch Metroid like game, Bullet
Night Witch?
Night Witch. Yeah, Night Witch.
Night Witch.
Where it's like an order of spells. And I would say my biggest criticism is I still don't understand how that system works. And yeah, I feel like you have to memorize the symbols for spells, which is tough to do. They're not that obvious. And I'm struggling to do that, but it's pretty good. And it could be long. There's like 12 bosses that you have to fight through, where most roguelikes are like 4 or 5. It's all the signs of the zodiac, and it's pretty good so far. I did about 8 or 9 runs yesterday, and I wanted to keep going and had to resist the temptation to do yet another run. So the best compliment you can give a roguelike is one more run, and this game has captured that. So kudos to Astral Ascent, developed by, let's see, Hibernian Workshop. Available on, I bought it on PlayStation 5 and 4. I should say, kind of going back to a console phase. I find myself pushing away from PC gaming and wanting to play games in the comfort of my bed on a huge TV. So don't know how long it'll last. It's been a long time coming, but I'm back in a console phase.
Wow.
Which means I'm going to rebuy every game I bought this year as part of the Black Friday sale on PlayStation.
Oh, I have to. You have to. How can you game if you're not on the consoles? If you're in a console phase, you need games.
I got to buy them all. And the one I want to start over is the only one that's not on sale. Wo Long. Because I got pretty far. Like, I might as well play the first. If I'm going to play the levels again, I might as well.
Is that on Game Pass, though?
Oh, I don't play Xbox. Ew.
This guy does not play Game Pass.
My mistake.
Ew. I got to cancel my Game Pass. I keep forgetting. I'm officially out of my free years for upconverting when there was all those promotions. And I will be canceling.
That reminds me, you guys buying this Xbox tax thing?
No. John sent a clickbait article about Xbox games not getting nominated at the Game Awards and like some Xbox tax. It's the opposite. Xbox
I just thought
for people to talk about them and give them good reviews.
I just thought it was funny. I mean, clearly it's very different perspectives, but Frank thinks that IGN and sites like this are plugging Xbox over Sony and maybe being paid to do that. Whereas a lot of Xbox fans feel like it's the opposite, and Xbox is Sony is paying, or Sony is overwhelming Microsoft stuff, and they're being left in the dust for some reason. And they call it an Xbox tax.
Yeah, it's a tax of having bad developers that are first-party developers. That is
Xbox. Xbox probably paid those people to write about the Xbox tax to get more eyeballs on Xbox.
Was it an Xbox tax when Forza Horizon 5 got Game of the Year on IGN? Is that a tax? Like a sequel that's almost exactly the same as the previous entry? Let's get real where the taxes are.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pendulum has swung back into balance this year, and I think the nominations for the Game Awards were pretty solid. So
if you want to talk real taxes, you can talk EA tax. That's a real tax.
That is a real tax.
Hate EA. And you can talk Oculus tax or Meta tax a bit too, I think. They don't get much mention at all as a gaming platform.
Is it kind of crazy that also there's probably like an Activision tax now? Even more. So, I mean, I guess that's now Microsoft, soon to be Microsoft tax. But I mean, no, Metal Gear.
Did they buy the right to say that there's an Xbox tax? Is that why they did the merger? Just so they could say they have
probably.
Right?
But like COD is not in very many spots there. I don't think. I don't remember seeing it. And it used to be up there all the time, from what I remember.
It hasn't changed that much. I feel like COD is kind of where it should be at this point in time. Dedicated audience.
Have you played the new Forza?
No.
Okay.
It's got
I
really
thought you used to be into them, right?
Yeah, I play them here and there, but I'm not paying $90 on Steam for it, and I refuse to download it on Game Pass. I'm not in an Xbox phase right now. I may also be insane. Next up, Killer Frequency. Sean's just sending me all these games, knowing I'm going to buy them all. So I thought I was going to pick up Killer Frequency as part of the Black Friday sale.
I didn't even like. This was not mentioned as something I thought you would like. This was mentioned as I'm eyeing this one, and then you just bought it anyway. So.
Yeah, well, whatever. Dude, you don't even want to know how many games I bought on the Black Friday sale on Quest today. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's 40% off on a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so
you have to.
Yeah.
It may never get the chance again. So, and I'll never play them. So now is the time to think about playing them. I've never been more productive in VR than right now. So I have to give myself every opportunity to try these games for 25 minutes, including Killer Frequency. I did not know what it is or what it was when I bought it. And I thought it was a puzzle game where you play as a DJ, which
that's what I thought it was.
Kind of is. So it starts off in an alleyway and you're kind of investigating, I presume going into the station. That's what I thought. And then I get cornered by some jump scare and a murderer. And I'm like, what? There's jump scares in this? I almost took the visor off. Sean didn't prepare me for this. I thought it was like a puzzle.
Well, it's called Killer Frequency. Like,
I know. Anyway, I was scared. I blinked just at the right time when the killer like stood right in front of me in a jump scare. And then you get into the actual game and you have your operator and you have all your DJ equipment. Have to say, there is a soundboard in this game where you can hit sounds like laugh. Why can't I think of the joke when you have a joke? What do you call that?
Laugh track?
Rim shot?
Rim shot. You can do the rim shot. And the game, it's more story based than I thought. And I see it has so much potential. I'm seeing a map. And so you have to take over as operator for the police because they're out trying to find this serial killer and you have to help people. So I can tell there's a map. You're going to have to look and give people directions on where to go or how to solve problems and use all this information in your radio station as useful information. And I'm like, okay, this could be good. This could be a fun puzzle game. And then I'm just listening to my like coworker operator talk to me the whole time and picking dialogue options. Like I'm not doing anything to the point where I was so bored. There's paper crumpled up and a waste paper basket with a basketball net. And just to keep entertained, all I did for about 20 minutes while I'm listening to stuff is throw paper into a waste basket. Literally resorted to the most base aiming mechanic possible to entertain myself. Game makers, take note, give me something to do. And then
maybe that was part of their plan.
So the whole
there's
thing
an achievement for getting
believe me, if there was an achievement for throwing paper in a basket, I would have got every possible one. I dunked it. I threw 3 in a row. I tried every possible way of getting an achievement for throwing paper in a basket. Didn't get one. If I missed it, I'm embarrassed. I should say the first and only achievement I got was for hitting clips on the soundboard, which I thought was pretty fun. Now, it teaches you how to answer calls and take calls on the line. And then finally, the game's about to start. And there's a call coming in from someone. Answer it. So I'm like getting ready to hit the button to see which call to take and how to take the call. And the operator answers it for me and feeds it in. I'm like, what? You finally have a chance to get me to do something in this game that you've taught me how to do, and you've taken that away from me. I'm just listening to people talk. Like, who's designing these games? They're interactive stories. Let me interact, not just listen to people talk. So I'm not writing it off yet because I see potential everywhere in this game. It's just taking a while to get there. Holy crap. Like just some simple trivial tasks of hitting buttons or spinning, like, managing spinning plates or something like that to make it engaging. And it's it's a slow ramp up, which makes me think it's way more like just audio visual storytelling than it is gameplay, which is kind of disappointing. Can't even move your like mic arm. And I believe this started as a non-VR game first and moved to VR. But
yeah, I wasn't too sure about
Steam.
that. Like it's on I think all consoles, but Meta is the only place where you can get the VR version, which I was surprised about.
Which again seems like they're missing opportunities to inject fun stuff, VR stuff into the game. Not a good sign if I'd rather throw paper into a basket than play your game while I'm playing your game.
I mean, I was hoping it would be kind of like Pontypool the game, but
that's what I was hoping too. And it has the potential. It's a slow burn to get there, let me tell you.
So I shouldn't buy it then.
No, you should. You got to weigh in, dude. We should buy it just because it's a radio game with a soundboard.
Yeah, that's true.
Like we're obligated to buy this game.
I think we have to, yeah.
All right. If you're expecting me to soundboard, I'm not going to because I don't know what page I'm on right now.
The Grouchy Emperor Eddie. The Grouchy Emperor Eddie.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, you don't remember Emperor Eddie?
The Grouchy Emperor
so.
Eddie.
It was from a Nintendo Direct.
Sounds pretty cool.
So remember, if there's something strange in your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. Those are classics.
All right. That's all I got. I think I played something else, but I can't remember.
I can say my kids went under the visor. My oldest boy went to a VR like birthday party where they went to a VR place, and he was telling me how they were playing Super Hot VR, and he really wanted to play Super Hot VR again. So it was on sale, so I bought it for him. So he's been playing that. I showed them Beat Saber, and they've been loving Beat Saber, which is great. And what else do they play?
Riders is really good too.
Which game?
Game like Beat Saber, Synth Riders.
Synth Riders. They actually been playing a game. I think Sean played it. I think it's called There Is No Game, No Dimension or something like that.
Yeah.
And they were playing it. I don't know how they were doing it, but I have it on Steam. They'd gone through the virtual desktop thing.
Wait, but that's not VR, is it?
I don't know. I don't think so. But my one son was like under the visor playing it, and my other son was sitting at my computer helping or playing it. Like they were playing it together. I don't know if just what's that?
What game are you talking about?
There Is No Game, No Dimension or something like that. Whatever it's called. What's it called?
Yeah,
I think it's just called There Is No Game.
There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension.
Wrong Dimension.
Like
Wrong Dimension. Yeah. Wrong Dimension. So I think what happens is I think the person sitting at the computer still can control the mouse a bit with it even controlled by the virtual headset. So they were kind of playing collaboratively this game. One was in VR, one was just sitting at my computer. So it was pretty fun to watch them work through this game puzzle. I bought this game years ago when you talked about it, Sean. I never played it. I don't know anything about it. It was like this weird, almost like 2D adventure game, the stuff I was seeing. So
but it's very meta, and
it was hilarious because the first thing they said when they said they were going to play it was, oh yeah, I know how to beat that game. I watched like a YouTube video on how to beat it or something like that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
No, yeah. My kids knew it from YouTubers as well.
Yeah.
It's weird which games kind of break through into that audience sometimes, but yeah.
It is very weird.
Yeah. So I haven't been under the visor other than just to set it up for them. But I'm thinking
was your VR sickness hereditary? Are they vomiting?
They seem fine. No. They're also not drinking excessive amounts of rye.
Just check. So. Yeah, no, I mean, you always maintained it wasn't the rye, it was the VR. So
I never said it wasn't one or the other. Anyway, I didn't make a definitive statement.
All right, just check it because it's a new territory. We don't know
They haven't. I actually installed the Batman VR. That would be the real test. Have them play the Batman VR for an hour, see where they're at.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep.
All right, I think that's it.
That's it.
What a show. Over an hour. We juiced the shit out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Check out Astral Ascent. I love you, Sea of Stars. And we'll be back next week. I don't think it's Game Awards yet, so we'll have to. I think we should be good for next week, but maybe not. Game Awards soon. Check us out, youtube.com/Game Junk. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye.